Welcome everyone. This is my first class that I'm filming for the month of September. And this is also the first class that I am filming here in Brazil, where I currently am living. And it's such a beautiful space where I get to film. This is the front of my house, and it's such a privilege to share with you. Thank you for joining me. Today's sequence, it will move quickly, and our main shape that we'll be playing with today, it's Exalted Warrior and Wild Thing, and it will be a pretty wrist dominant sequence. Side plank will be one of our foundations to Wild Thing pose. So I'd like to start the class by simply reminding everyone that you are always in charge of your own practice. We advance in this practice with the amount of presence we can bring into whatever we're doing. Advancement has nothing to do with flexibility or strength, so it doesn't matter about the shapes that we create. I'd like you to honor your own body, honor your health, allow the practice to serve your needs. So whether my instructions invite it or not, I would like you to always make any given shape your own. And along those lines, because it will be a pretty wrist-dominant sequence, if when we come into side plank, you find that it's too much on the wrists, you can always lower your bottom knee down. Every aspect of the sequence can be performed from there. So, with that, let's jump right in. We'll begin class by lying on our backs, opening the legs wide, opening the arms wide, giving yourself permission to take up as much space as you need. If it feels more intuitive to bend your knees, then you're welcome to do that. Arms can rest wherever they like. Often my hands naturally gravitate to my belly. Wherever you are, close the eyes and begin to notice the breath. This practice, it's a means to awaken and respond to whatever already is. So as you bring awareness to your breath, naturally the mind and the thoughts that the mind creates, they become a little bit softer. And with every conscious breath cycle we take, we connect to the feeling body. Let's take 2 big clearing breaths together. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, big sigh, let it out the mouth. Once more, big inhale. And a full exhale. And now seal the lips and find an even rhythm of breath in and out the nose. This breath, it becomes our focal point, our anchor as we move throughout the class. If they're not already there, bring the soles of the feet down to the ground. Relax your arms by your sides so that your fingertips can just barely graze the backs of the heels. We'll move through some rolling bridges. First round slow, every movement is inspired by the breath. As you inhale, you'll begin to press into the soles of the feet. Begin to lift the hips high. We're going to be here for a few rounds of breath. So really make sure that it enters into your muscle memory. See if you can draw your shoulder blades a little bit closer towards one another, pressing actively into the mound of all 10 toes, engaging your glutes once you're at the top of the range of motion to find a little bit more extension in the hips. Take in one more big inhale whenever it comes. Exhale, slowly soften the back body down towards the floor. And then you move with your own breath. You create your own movement patterns. With your inhales, you can begin to lift the hips high. And as you exhale, slowly soften the hips down to the earth. Move at your own pace, knowing you never have to move one breath, one movement rather. You move at whatever pace your breath inspires you to. And next time the back body fully touches down to the ground, you can pause there and gently hug your knees inwards towards your chest. Give yourself a gentle squeeze. You can sway a little bit from side to side. Again, just feeling what's here right now. We transition to child's pose from here. So you can begin to rock forwards and backwards along the length of the spine. Or you could just simply roll off onto your side, eventually landing in your variation of child's pose. I'm choosing to open my knees wide so the torso can rest heavy between the thighs. Allow your forehead to soften down towards the earth. Stay with your breath and feel free to move gently, intuitively, in any way that you feel called. And gently make your way to a tabletop position, shifting your shoulders above the wrists, hips above the knees. We'll move through a few rounds of cat-cow. First round slow. Inhale, lower the belly down towards the ground. Spread through the sit bones, spread through the collarbones, lift your gaze. Pause here. Now, you may be thinking, I've done this shape a million times before. There's nothing left to learn. If that sounds like you, I invite you to invite some curiosity into this moment. This moment is unique. Take in one more big inhale. Exhale, navel towards the spine, chin to chest, round the back body. We're pausing here. So in any given moment, see if you can leave some space for what you don't know. You may know this shape, but your body isn't communicating as it is today. We endeavor to listen. Breath to movement. Inhale, lower the belly down, gaze up. Exhale, navel towards the spine, round the back body. 2 more cycles of breath, your pace. Inhale will bring the spine back to neutral. And then curl your toes behind you. We're going to move through cat-cow waves, moving from child's pose to tabletop. It'll look something like this, but there's no exact science to it. With your inhales, you lower your belly, or with your exhales rather, you'll lower your belly down towards the ground, tilt the tail up, and then press into the hands as you shift your hips back towards the heels. With your inhales, you'll tilt your tail in the opposite direction, navel towards the spine. With the rounded spine, you shift forward until the shoulders are above the wrists. And then we begin again. Tilt the tail, belly towards the ground, press into the hands. Exhale with a rounded spine. You can join me whenever you're ready. Feel free to close the eyes. Our focus is the inner experience of the movement, more so than the movement itself. So don't think about it too much. And eventually, you'll make your way back to a tabletop position. You can untuck the toes. Wrist intensive sequence today, so we're going to give the wrists some love. Bring your fingertips towards the outer edges of the mat. Bring the eyes of the elbows towards one another. And then press into the palms, so you're once again puffing up the space between the shoulders, the upper back. Your core, however, is strong, navel up and in. And then begin to sway your shoulders gently from side to side. Again, no exact science to it, just finding those little areas of discomfort while staying with the breath. Eventually finding stillness. Shifting your fingertips back towards the knees, so now the wrist creases shine forward. You can choose to stay right here. Maybe you want to move the spine intuitively, or you could shift your hips back any amount. Staying with the breath, again, approaching discomfort with curiosity. Shift your fingertips forward. Last little bit. We'll now work more with the forearms. So we'll come onto our right forearm for demo's sake if you need a visual. And now bring your fingertips towards the palm of your right hand. You're not clenching the fingers. You're trying to bring them as close to the wrist crease as you possibly could. And then you use your left hand to keep your fingertips together. Your right thumb, it can be loose, it can be neutral. And gently, you'll now begin to lift your elbow off of the ground. See if you can keep your fingers exactly where they are. And then slowly soften the elbow, the forearm down to the ground. And keep moving just like that. Depending on what you do, this might be incredibly intense. Most of you know this, I'm a hand balancer, so this is wildly intense for me. If you're a climber, maybe you're experiencing the same. Whew. And eventually, you'll find stillness, come back to tabletop briefly, and then lower onto the left forearm. Once again, left palm faces up, and then bend your left fingertips so they move towards the heel of the hand, towards the wrist crease in theory. Right hand can come to the left hand, and then slowly begin to straighten-ish your left arm, and then slowly lower it down. Keep moving just like that. So this is one of those things, it shouldn't feel easy. If it feels easy, it might be that you have a lot of mobility in your wrists and not as much stability in the wrists. But it could also be that you're not moving slow enough. So honor where you are. I encourage you to move slow. And then shift your left fingertips forward. Whew. Walk your palms, one hand distance forward, curl your toes behind you, glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. First downward dog of the day, feel free to pedal through the heels. You could sway the hips from side to side. Bring your awareness to the space behind the heart. We'll take in a big inhale to that place. Exhale, big sigh, let it out the mouth, release. Now keeping your awareness on the space behind the heart, gently begin to come high up onto the balls of the feet. With a rounded spine, you'll slowly begin to move forward like a wave until you eventually land in plank pose. Shoulders are stacked above the wrists. We're going to take a moment to refine here. Spread your fingers wide. Think eyes of the elbows in towards one another, just like tabletop. Also, just like tabletop, think pressing into the floor, spreading the shoulder blades wide. Taking one more big inhale. And as you exhale, begin to bend the knees as you gently guide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Like water, we'll move in a wave. As you inhale, ripple forward from downward dog to plank. And as you exhale, bend the knees, glide the hips back, downward facing dog. Keep moving just like that a few times. Maybe your movements are really big, maybe they're more subtle. Maybe you even keep the feet grounded and just focus on undulating the spine. Eventually finding stillness in a down dog. One big clearing breath, inhale through the nose. Exhale with the sigh, let it out the mouth. Slowly walk your feet forward to ragdoll pose. Feet are hip distance apart, maybe even wider. And then you bend the legs a lot, so much so that the chest might be resting on the thighs. You can grab for opposite elbows. You could interlace your fingers. You can sway, you can make silly faces. Anything that creates space for you is always welcome. And then bring your awareness to the soles of the feet. From that foundation, vertebra by vertebra, begin to lift the torso, rise all the way up to a standing position. Head is heavy, it's the last thing that lifts. Take your time. Now, we'll move into some spinal waves from here. So keep your feet at least hip distance apart, maybe even a little bit wider. A lot of you have done this with me before. Again, the intention here is for spinal mobility. So there's no exact science to it, but our goal is to feel articulation within the spine, vertebra by vertebra, becoming more aware of where we feel rigidity, where we feel freedom. So we begin first by bending the legs slightly. We initiate this movement from the lower body at first. So we begin to bend the knees and slowly extend the hips forward. Belly, chest comes forward towards the front of the space. And your throat, your neck eventually follows until eventually the shifts hit back. And you keep moving in those spinal waves, just like that. As I was performing that motion, it's significantly harder when you move slowly. So think about it instead just like leading a spinal wave with the hips. If there's any part of you that's worried about what this looks like, see if you can close your eyes. Just notice that part of yourself. Welcome it. And remind it that it's all about the inner experience of the movement. All right, and now, instead of initiating the motion with the knees, the hips forward, see if you can reverse the motion. I won't say too much. Your body will figure it out. Let your head, your neck get involved. Last moments here. And without abruptly stopping the motion, just use the next few rounds of breath to let the momentum dissipate all on its own. And then once you found stillness in body, close the eyes. Hands to the heart. Notice what is moving within. We'll move a little bit quicker. 3 sun A's. 1 big clearing breath. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, big sigh, let it out the mouth. Inhale, sweep the arms out and up, palms to touch. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift the spine, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step the feet back to a plank. Big inhale here. Exhale, lower your knees, your chest, your forehead down to the earth. Inhale, ripple forward, cobra pose or upward facing dog. Exhale, glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Finding your breath. Experiencing the moment from the inside out. Inhale, walk, step, or hop your feet forward all the way between the hands. Lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, chest to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands through to the center of the heart. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the chest, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step the feet back to a plank. Full inhale. Exhale, lower down, your option. Inhale, lift the heart, cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. How are you experiencing your breath in this moment? Inhale, walk, step, or hop your feet forward. Lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, chest to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last round. Inhale, reach the arms high. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold. Inhale, lift the chest, halfway lift. Hands to the floor, step the feet back to a plank. Full inhale. Exhale, lower with control. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale to downward facing dog. A few breaths here. Next inhale, walk, step, or hop your feet forward. Lengthen the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, chest to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, reach the arms all the way overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale to plank. Inhale, find length. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, lift the chest, squeeze the shoulders. Exhale to downward facing dog. Just feel what is still in motion. Next inhalation, right leg rises, three-legged dog. Hopping into the flow. Initially, just feel what's here. You can move in any way that it would feel good to, exploring sensation in the right hip, the right ankle. Eventually squaring the hips, wrapping the outer right thigh downwards towards the ground. Press the hands actively into the ground. Taking a big inhale, find length. Exhale, slowly step the right foot to the inside of the right hand, low lunge. Anchor your right hip back, left hip crease steers forward, and then bend your left knee. The left shin, it stays hovering. We're really trying to extend through the left ankle. With an inhale, slowly rise all the way up until your shoulders stack above the hips. Hands can come to the hips. All right, so our back leg is bent so that we can really activate our muscles within this shape. Anchor your right hip back, left hip crease steers forward. And we're bending the left leg so we can engage the left glute and extend that left hip forward. We're going to work first with our back leg, then with our front leg. As you inhale, we're going to slowly hover your left shin down towards the earth. And as you exhale, extend through the left heel, different than lifting through the shoulders. We'll do that a few more times. Inhale, bend, hover. Exhale, drive the heel back. 2 more times. Now our focus moves to our front leg. With an inhale, straighten the right knee. Keep the hips square, get tall through the crown of the head. Exhale, sink into the hips, right knee right above the right ankle. 3 more times, your pace. Next time you're lunging into that front knee, you can pause there. Reach the arms high. Big inhale, get longer through the tips of the fingers. Exhale, vertical twist, sweeping your right hand back, left hand forward. I know the legs are fiery. We're almost out of the legs. Extend your fingertips actively towards the front and the back of the space. Every inhale invites length into the shape. And every exhale lets you find a little bit of softness. Last moments, exalted warrior. As you inhale, you can bring your left bicep by the left ear. Your right hand can either stay on the hip or it might come towards your back leg. Hugging the navel up and in, breathing into the front body. One more big inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your arms. Your right hand will be your foundation down to the ground. Coming into Vashisthasana, side plank. So we'll press through the right hand, lifting through our hips, extending the left arm high. Here's where you can always keep the right knee on the ground. Find your breath. There is intensity, but the invitation of ease is also here. You can choose the breath. All right, last little push. Take in a big inhale, reach through the left fingertips. Exhale, big yourself a big bear hug, giving your left fingertips towards your right hand. Keep the hips high. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale, give yourself a hug, engage your glutes. Last time, big inhale. And a full exhale. Inhale, left arm up. Exhale to plank. Big inhale. Exhale to downward dog. Vinyasa or not, your choice. We meet in downward dog. Feel what's here. And we move to the opposite side. Inhale, left leg high, three-legged dog. Feel free to open up the hips. You can keep the hips closed. You can move in a way that doesn't have a name. Eventually squaring the hips, wrapping your outer left thigh downwards towards the ground. Keep pressing the ground actively away from you. Big inhale into the side bodies. Exhale, step the left foot to the inside of the left hand. Low lunge. Anchor your left hip back. Right hip crease steers forward. Bending your right leg a little bit so that as you hug the navel up and in, you can lift the torso, rise all the way up. Hands can come to the hips. Bringing your awareness to your foundation. Keep hugging your inner thighs towards one another. Engaging your right glute so you can scoop your right hip forward. Back leg first. Inhale to hover the right shin. Exhale to drive the right heel back. 3 cycles of breath. And at the bottom of your fourth round, you can pause, bring your awareness to the front leg. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, left knee right above the left ankle. 3 more breath cycles. Move slow. Next time, the left knee is right above the left ankle. Pause there. Inhale, reach the arms high, high crescent lunge. Feel your foundation get tall through the tips of the fingers. Big inhale into the upper body. Exhale, vertical twist. Shoulders stay above the hips. Left knee right above the left ankle. With every inhale you take, find length through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, feel the twist occur from above the belly button. Keep the torso as is. Inhale. Exalted warrior. Right bicep by the right ear. Left hand can stay on the left hip, or you can bring it to the right leg. Doesn't matter how far backward you go. Breathe into the front line of the body. One more big inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your arms down to the ground. left hand as your foundation. You can now turn onto the knife edge of your right foot, step the left foot back, reach your left arm high. You can always lower your left knee down to the ground. What shape helps you best connect to the breath? Taking a big inhale. Exhale, give yourself a bear hug. Inhale, right arm high. Exhale, squeeze. Last time. Inhale, right arm high. Exhale, right hand down to the ground. Big inhale. Exhale, lower your option. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale to downward facing dog. Find your breath. Invitation to come into child's pose if you need. We'll soon move one breath, one movement. So connect to the breath. It occurred to me that I did plank a little bit funky accidentally there. I'm going to make a course correction. You might not notice it, but if transitioning to side plank felt strange, I got you. We'll fix it when we move one breath, one movement. Downward facing dog. All together. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale, big sigh, let it out the mouth. Inhale, right leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale, step the right foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, vertical twist, right hand back. Inhale, exalted warrior, left arm high. Exhale, right hand foundation, side plank. Pause there. So you can choose to stay exactly as you are right here, or you can transition to wild thing with me. Begin to lift your left leg, any amount, and then slowly begin to rotate your hips open. Ball of the left foot finds the ground. You can rotate your right foot, and then spiral your heart center open towards the ceiling. A few breaths here. Taking a big inhale. Exhale, slowly begin to sink the hips down towards the floor. A little funky. All right, and now we'll bend our right leg so our right foot is in line with, our feet are in line with one another. Left hand, or right hand, will remain your foundation. Come up onto the balls of the feet, and then see if you can tap your knees down to the ground. With an inhale, shift back. Exhale, tap the knees. Once more. And then slowly, we'll find our starting shape, lowering the bum down to the ground. Extend your right leg long. Not the most elegant of transitions, but you bring your right hand so your fingertips point towards the front edge of the mat, and then slowly lower all the way onto your belly once again. Connecting breath with movement, rolling cobras. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, heart to the earth. Twice more, just like that, your breath guides. Plant your palms, engage your legs behind you. We meet in downward dog. With an exhale, you can rise up through plank, child's pose, or tabletop. And then glide the hips up and back, downward facing dog. All right, let's repeat on the left. Big inhale. Full exhale. Inhale, left leg high. Exhale, crescent lunge, or step your left foot forward. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Exhale, vertical twist, left hand back. Inhale, exalted warrior. Exhale, left hand foundation, side plank. Pause there. Extend your right arm upwards. You can choose to stay right here, engage the glutes, lift the hips high, or your left knee could be down. Or we transition to wild thing, bringing our awareness to the right foot, lifting it before eventually stepping it to the right until you can plant the ball, the left foot, right foot rather. Whee! Words are hard today. And then spiral your heart center open towards the ceiling. Take in one more big inhale. Exhale, slowly soften your hips down towards the floor. And now we'll bend our left leg, so our left foot is in the same line as the right. Left hand continues to be our foundation. You can invite a gentle bend in the elbow if that feels good. We move gently with the breath. As you inhale, you come up onto the balls of the feet, knees tap towards the floor in front of you. And as you exhale, shift back onto the heels. Keep moving just like that, about 3 cycles of breath. And then when ready, extend the left foot long once again. Your left hand points forward, left elbow is soft as you slowly lower onto your belly. 3 rounds of rolling cobra, breath to movement. Inhale, lift the chest, engage the glutes. Exhale, heart to the earth. 2 more cycles of breath. Bottom of your 3rd exhale, connect to the breath. Decide your path to downward dog. With an exhale, we rise. And meet in downward facing dog. Feel what is here right now. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale with the sigh, let it out the mouth. Child's pose, any variation that you choose for now. Feel free to sway. You can rock the head from side to side. Feeling into the residue of our practice so far. And then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, we'll rise all the way up. And we're going to come up onto our knees. We're coming into Ustrasana, camel pose. Invitation to repeat bridge pose on your back if this doesn't serve you. For camel pose or Ustrasana, you can keep your tops of the feet heavy down to the ground, or you could curl your toes behind you, whatever feels most stable. Here our core is strong to protect the low back. So think about, I'm exaggerating here, but this would be really booty back, ribs forward. And the opposite would be to really tuck the tail, squeeze the glutes. You really want a happy medium between there. So you might even bring your right hand to your low back, right hand to the low belly, the pelvis area. And find a neutral spine. Feels like there's a slight tuck of the tail forward. Your glutes are somewhat engaged. Lifting through the chest, lifting through the crown of the head. We'll bring our hands to the low back. You can bring your fingertips to point down. Or for some of us, maybe up. Wherever you are, first, draw your shoulder blades towards one another. Relax your shoulders back and down the spine, so you're already lifting through the chest. You're already in a heart opener here. And then more so than leaning back in space, think about lengthening the center of your heart up towards the ceiling as you extend the hips forward. So we'll begin to do just that. Slowly extend the hips forward, staying connected to the breath. shifting the hips back, or rather, shifting the hips forward any amount. When you're ready to release, hug the navel up and in. As slowly as you created the shape, you can rise all the way up. And then sit your hips back towards your heels. Relax the backs of the hands to the legs, palms face up. Close the eyes. Stay with the body. We'll be doing 3 rounds. You're welcome to join all or none. Next round, we'll bring our hands back towards the low back. Find that place of neutrality with the pelvis. You're really, really lengthening through the crown of the head. Begin to engage the glutes. Extend the hips forward. Keep drawing your shoulder blades back as you lift through the center of the heart. Hug the navel up and in, and slowly rise all the way up. Softening your hips back towards the heels with as little movement as you can, palms face up. Catch the rebound. Last round. Like everything, it's optional. The only thing that's not is staying with the breath. Hands to your low back. Draw your shoulder blades together. Elbows draw towards one another as well. Engage the glutes. Begin to extend the hips forward. And if it feels appropriate this round, you might be able to bring your hands to the heels. No need to reach, just if it's there, if it's available, you can take that path. For this 3rd round, I'm going to leave the timing up to you. If your hands are on your heels, you'll gently bring them towards your low back. Wherever you are, navel hugs up and in to protect the low back as you rise up. And we all meet with hips to the heels, palms face up. Taking a few breaths there. And then one last time, child's pose. You can open the knees wide enough so that the chest, the forehead rests heavy. See if you can really deepen the breath for just a few rounds here. Breathing into the low belly, but feeling how the back body, the low back, both side bodies are expanding and contracting with the breath. One last clearing breath as a group. Big inhale through the nose. Exhale with the sigh, let it go. And then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, begin to lift the torso, rise all the way up. And then you can help your knees in towards one another. If you're comfortable sitting on the heels, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, take any comfortable cross-legged position. We're going to give the neck a little bit of love. Interlace your hands to the low back, and then bring your interlaced hands towards your outer right hip. Gently lower your right ear, your right cheek towards the right shoulder. And you can gently rock the head forwards and back, finding the sensation that you need in the left side of the neck. And then slowly circle the chin towards your chest. By way of the low back, you can bring your interlaced hands towards your outer left hip. And then quarter circle your left ear, your left cheek towards the left shoulder. Shoulders stay above the hips. Once you know you're there, you can rock your head forwards and back. And then slowly circle the chin towards your chest. By way of the low back, you can release your hands, guide the head up. If you're sitting on your heels, you can shift the hips off to one side. We all meet with our legs extended long out in front of us for caterpillar pose. For caterpillar pose, or Paschimottanasana forward fold, we're going to take a really soft variation. Not so much focus on the hamstrings, but more about allowing the breath to inflate and move within the back body. So with that, we'll bend our legs a lot. And then you can bring your hands towards your ankles, your fingertips point down. It's almost like I'm wrapping my forearms underneath the backs of my legs. And then allow your chest to come towards your thighs. And then once you're here, you might just stay right here. You might already notice a really gentle, beautiful stretch in the low back. Or you can begin to extend your heels forward. So this can be a really, really micro movement, but the goal isn't to straighten the legs. Our goal is to really keep the chest, the low belly, connected to the upper thighs. And then let the head relax, let the head be heavy. Breathe as fully as you can into the lower spine. Shift your focus to all the portions of the body that are currently touching the floor. And from that foundation, vertebra by vertebra, begin to lift the torso, rise all the way up. And now we'll bend our legs, soles of the feet down to the ground. Bring your hands behind you. We're coming into reverse tabletop position. Softest option for the wrist is to bring your fingertips to point towards the sides of the mat. You could also have them point back if that feels good for the rotation in the shoulders. Again, most accessible option is fingertips out. And pressing into the soles of the feet, you'll slowly begin to ground through the hands, spread the fingers wide, lift the hips, and then draw your shoulder blades towards one another behind you. Think about looking towards the bridge of the nose. Engage the glutes, see if you can lift your hips up a little bit higher. Last few moments here. And slowly release. Begin to soften your hips down towards the ground. From here, we transition all the way onto our backs. It's a brief moment of rest. It might look like a mini Savasana. You could keep the soles of the feet on the ground. Find your shape as quickly as you can. And see if you can feel any shifts. Gently hug your knees inwards towards your chest. Give yourself a big squeeze. Gently swaying a little bit from side to side. Arms wide, arms open up to a T. Shift your hips 1 or 2 inches to the right. Keep the knees close to the chest and lower the knees to the left, spinal twist. You can keep the neck neutral, or you could be looking over either shoulder. Next inhalation, bring the knees back in through the midline. Shift the hips 1 or 2 inches to the left. Knees in close. And lower the knees to the right, spinal twist. Once again, you can keep your gaze neutral, or you could be looking over either shoulder. Next inhale, bring the knees back in towards the midline. And then we'll hug our knees inwards, first through the chest, but eventually moving your knees towards the shoulders so you have a wide space between the knees, like a reclined child's pose. You can stay here, knees wide, big toes to touch, or you can extend your ankles above the knees. Coming into happy baby pose. Feel free to sway a little bit from side to side. And then giving yourself one last big squeeze. If it feels appropriate, you could create some tension, knees to the forehead, forehead to knees. Make yourself really small and compact. And as you're ready, release to your final Savasana. Extending your right foot to the right corner of the mat, left foot to the left corner of the mat. Arms relax wide by the sides of the body, palms face up. At this point in practice, you no longer have to control the You no longer have to respond to any instructions in an analytical way. You don't have to do anything at all. This is a moment to simply receive. To receive the benefits of your practice, those that are physical and far beyond. It's here that we integrate. That our experiences become part of us. They become wisdom embodied. Begin to deepen the breath. And as you do, intuitively, you'll know when that breath should enliven the body through small flickers of movement, meaning you can stay in Savasana. If you are ready, those movements, whenever they come, they slowly become a little bit larger, circling through the wrists, the ankles, maybe reaching the arms all the way overhead, feeling a full body stretch if that would feel good. And then rolling off onto one side of the body, whatever side of the body feels good to you. With no hurry, staying with the body, moving at the pace of the body. You can join me in a seat if you are ready. Allowing your sit bones to ground, your spine to lengthen, hands through to the center of the heart. In appreciation of a practice that continually brings us home to ourselves, our seat of inner knowing, we bow. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time.